Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here. Today, I'm going to be predicting how many sacks Chase Young and Montez Sweat have in 2020, and also I'm going to be predicting the overall sack numbers for the Redskins defensive line in 2020. It's going to be absolutely crazy this year. If you guys are new, subscribe for Redskins and NFL content. So let's get into it. As you guys all know, the Redskins defensive line is the strongest unit on the team, and their expectations are very high this year. Even last year, they didn't do that good in the run game, but they had 46 sacks last year, which is close to the top in the NFL. And this year, with the addition of Chase Young and Jack Del Rio as a defensive coordinator, I think the defense is going to thrive this year and do a lot better than it did last year. But let's get into the numbers and what I think the Redskins will have overall. And this is not my overall team prediction because obviously there's going to be linebackers, and corners and safeties that get a couple sacks. So this is not my total prediction. Now let's get into the individual predictions. So first off, Chase Young, who the Redskins, of course, as you guys all know, drafted with the second overall pick in the 2020 NFL draft. We all have super high expectations for Chase Young last year at Ohio State. You guys all know 16 and a half sacks and 7 forced fumbles, was an absolute beast, and I expect him to be an absolute beast on the field. I think not having an offseason or a full offseason is going to hurt him a little bit, but it's going to hurt all rookies, so it's not going to hinder his development long term. And I still think he's going to have a huge year this year and most likely win Defensive Rookie of the Year. So my prediction for Chase Young is I'm predicting 10 sacks for Chase Young. That's more than Nick Bosa last year. That's, I think, more than almost anyone last year. Maybe Josh Allen had more, but I think he's going to have a huge year, 10 sacks. I think he's not going to have more than that just because he's going to get double teamed and there's going to be a lot of people on him. And the NFC East has a decent offensive line. You got Dallas has a very good offensive line. The Giants are starting to develop their offensive line, and the Eagles have a decent offensive line. So I think he's going to play really good. Hopefully wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. And it's not just about the sacks, guys. It's about how many pressures he gets, how many QB hits he gets too, because he's going to have a lot of attention on him. So he might not get as many sacks as we would like. But honestly, anything over 7, in my opinion, is good. If he can get 7, a couple forced fumbles, and a bunch of tackles for loss, I would be very happy with that production because it's only going to go up from there. So next is Montez Sweat, and everyone is expecting Montez Sweat to have a huge year for the Redskins. He's 6'6", 262 pounds. This is his second year for the Redskins, and last year played in all 16 games, had 2 forced fumbles and 7 sacks, 50 combined tackles, and 8 tackles for loss. And yes, he played in 16 games, but he was injured in a few of those. So if he really would have played in all of them fully, he probably would have had 8 or 9 sacks, but still had a really good rookie year. Kind of struggled in the beginning and played a lot better in the second half of the season. I'm expecting a big year for Montez Sweat. I'm predicting 11 sacks for Montez Sweat. It's going to be a huge year for him. I think he's going to have a great year, especially with the addition of Chase Young. I think it's going to help him out a ton. And him not dropping back in coverage is also going to help him. Jack Del Rio is going to have him rushing the passer almost every time. You saw Greg Minuski having Montez Sweat dropping back in coverage. Not all the time, but way too much for our liking. So I think he's going to benefit a lot from Chase Young, but also Jack Del Rio. So I'm predicting 11 sacks, around that number. It could be a little less, but I see him at least, if he's healthy, at least 7 or 8 sacks. And remember, guys, these predictions are all assuming that these guys are going to play 16 games. Of course, if these guys play less, it's going to be less sacks than I predict. So next is Matt Ioannidis. So Matt Ioannidis has been super underrated for the Redskins the last couple years. Not necessarily in our eyes, but more in the national media. Last year, he played in 16 games, 8.5 sacks, 64 tackles, 11 tackles for loss. Played absolutely crazy. So my prediction for him next year is about 8 sacks, anywhere from 7 to 9 sacks, but I'm going to give him around 8 sacks. I think he's going to have another great year. I think he's going to play better against the run this year than he did last year. Some more tackles for loss, and he might suffer a little bit from not getting enough playing time if Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen are getting more playing time than him. But I think with the 4-3, he's going to get enough playing time, and I think overall he's going to get around 8 sacks, around that range. I think that's still a really good number for him. Maybe if we get some more wins this year and our defense enters that top 10 range, he might be able to make his first Pro Bowl. I hope he can. He's a great player. It's really, really underrated within the national media. Not for us Redskins fans, as you guys know. So next is Daron Payne. And Daron Payne still played pretty good last year, but only had 2 sacks, had 5 sacks in his rookie year, had 1 forced fumble, but last year had a little bit of a down year, wasn't that healthy. You saw he started a lot less games and was out for a little longer than he was in his rookie year, and I think he's still going to have a good year. I'm predicting 4 sacks, and I know that might not seem like a lot, but he's more of that run stopper. Daron Payne's probably going to be on the field on first down, second down, and third down when it's like third and short. But when it's third and 10, when it's third and 8, you want Jonathan Allen and other guys there because Daron Payne can still rush the passer pretty good, but I really like what he can do against the run, and I think his sack numbers, like I said, aren't going to be that high, but he's going to contribute a lot when it comes to stopping the run and getting some forced fumbles, and I still think he's going to be a key part to this defense, and we will see how much playing time he gets. This is the hardest prediction to make because I'm really not sure how many sacks he's going to get, but I think around 4 is a good number. So next is Jonathan Allen. Sorry about that. Jonathan Allen last year played pretty good, had about 6 sacks, had 8 sacks the year before, but I'm going to predict Jonathan Allen have 8 sacks this year. I think he's going to have a little more than he did last year, kind of what he did in his rookie year. I think he's also going to benefit from Chase Young and Jack Del Rio's scheme, and I think he's going to have a bounce back year, and it's going to be 1 year before his contract year, so he's going to want to play well to get paid, and I think he's going to do just that. He's going to be the leader of this defense, and I think the Redskins are going to rely on him this year. And last year, again, he wasn't completely healthy the full year. He kind of played like 13-ish games, full games, because against the Eagles, went out before halftime, didn't play against the Cowboys, and then against the Bears, he was kind of half healthy, and same the week after that. So I think if Jonathan Allen is fully healthy, I'm expecting big things from him. Around 8 sacks, could be more, could be less with injuries. So yeah. Next, the final guy that I'm going to be predicting before I give you my total number for the defensive line is Ryan Kerrigan. And a lot of you guys might think that Ryan Kerrigan is not going to have a good year this year, but I really think he's still going to have a decent year. His numbers before last year when he was hurt, he was a absolute beast. Every single year from his rookie year, he had 7.5 and then 8.5, 8.5 again, 13.5, and you can see how good of a career he's had. And last year had 5.5 sacks, and that's because he was injured he missed 4 games or more than 4 games, and he also was dropping back in coverage more than he usually is, and he most likely will not get much or as much playing time as he normally does, but he's going to be rushing. When he's in there, he will be primarily rushing the passer. Most likely won't start, but he'll be coming in on those third and long situations, second and long, when they know they're going to pass and they need a sack. And I think Ryan Kerrigan, my prediction for him, I still think he's going to have a good year. My prediction is 7.5 sacks. I think it's going to be lower than his normal totals, but I think if he plays 16 games or at least 14 games, I think he's going to still have a good year. So that's 7.5 sacks, and that puts my total just from the Redskins front 4, and you include Matt Ioannidis and Ryan Kerrigan in there, the guys that are primarily going to be rushing the passer, that's around 48.5 sacks. And if you look at what we had last year, that's already more from than we had last year, just in 5 players. And obviously, this is assuming that all these players are going to be healthy, which is definitely not going to happen. Hopefully it happens, but there's almost no way that all these players play 16 games, so that's why the number is high. And you still got to account for Ryan Anderson, who's going to get anywhere from 2 to 6 sacks. You got to account for Landon Collins, all the linebackers. That adds up to 7 more sacks to the total, and that would put us at first if we were looking at 2019. So I think the Redskins will at least match what they did last year and probably get around 50 to 55 sacks, which will probably be the first or second most in the league. And our defensive line is going to have to carry us this year if we want to come close to making the playoffs. And I think we can do that. I think our defensive line can be a top 3 defensive line in the NFL. I just think we need to work on our run stopping too, because in the past it hasn't been good. In 2018 with Alex Smith, the first half of the year we were doing pretty good, and then once he got injured, it just went all downhill from there. Again, guys, thank you guys for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please smash the like button. Let me know what your predictions are. I want to see everyone in the comments section below. Those 5 guys that I listed, give me your sack totals for them in the comments below. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. And turn on those post notifications, subscribe if you're new, and give me some video suggestions down in the comments below. Peace and stay safe.